Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Tom Spark. It looks like we have a copycat on YouTube. That's right, Techlore has now copied me officially. He's making his own 2024 VPN tier list. This is going to be my first reaction of this video live. Also guys, before we get into this video, I just want to let you know I am the one who created the VPN tier list. And in fact, I own VPNtierlist.com to prove it. Techlore has tried to copy my chart here as well with his puny data table he hardly ever updates and has subjective, non-verifiable data, whereas mine has way more VPN providers, pretty much every single one. I've tested each one with streaming services, all different sorts of features, pricing comparisons, everything like that, and it's only gotten bigger every year, so go ahead and check that out instead of this guy's fake table. By the way, guys, if you want to help support the channel, like videos just like these, check out my sponsors, TorGuard. You can find a link in the description down below with a discount, as well as Surfshark, which I particularly recommend for the incognito feature available in the Surfshark 1 Plus package. But as always, guys, you know the VPN tier list recommendations and ratings are not influenced by sponsorships. These products just give special shout outs, and back to the video.
So I got the tier list up here.
All right, here we go.
18 services that came from our VPN chart on our website, which is just objective data about every.
So already he's like missing like 8 services or so that I have in my chart. A lot of VPNs aren't really updated anymore. My chart used to have like 60 back in the day, but his chart isn't really anything you should pay attention to. Why is that? Well, because he includes things like if it's in the 14 eyes or not. We already know choosing a VPN based on its jurisdiction in terms of that is not really relevant. It hasn't been for a long time. He also uses kind of subjective measures like honest marketing, and he doesn't give points to TorGuard. Despite the fact that the website doesn't really have any fake counter climbers, no trackers or anything on the website, it's just like it doesn't like that it calls itself an anonymous VPN, despite the fact that other VPNs like Proton have done that in the past and have also had their fair share of issues. So it's kind of like he gets to pick and choose the way he wants to fill out his table, which isn't really how an objective, verifiable table works.
VPN service. So this is kind of fun.
In fact, I kind of want to look at that a little bit more because I'm sure there's plenty of examples of where he just kind of has messed up the data. And in fact, I know that when he made a TorGuard review, he specifically messed up multiple points and the TorGuard team actually corrected him on Twitter. So take here, for example, he has a thing that he looks for called connect on boot, and TorGuard, he just has like a question mark. Good table, bro. Yeah, it could connect on boot. I could tell you that pretty much all these VPNs you have question marks, they can also do the same thing. Good job, Techlore. All right, back to the video. This part's kind of funny. I watched like a little bit of it. I'll discuss it after he says it.
And hopefully it's a bit educational. So this is very personal preference on my end.
So that's the thing. A tier list table shouldn't really necessarily be both based on objective data, but then also like personal. You know, you can't really have it both ways. My table is objective. The table itself where the data ranks VPNs is objective. There's not really any personal opinion. It's not just for fun. It's to help people find the best privacy product, not just for fun.
It's really meant to just be Henry's opinion on things. So if you disagree, please let me know what you disagree on. I think it could be a fun discussion. And ultimately, like these all do.
That's what this video is, Henry.
Do very similar things. And so I think it's a very just fun, low pressure kind of video.
So fun.
So
that's what we all do. Instead of playing games, going out to the movies. I mean, no one really does that anymore. We sit alone in our apartments and make tier lists for fun.
Without further ado,
it's not a fucking game, man.
Let's get into it. I'm going to start with Adguard. So Adguard VPN. I'm going to start with just putting this in B tier. I guess it's always a little bit hard to start this because
bro, the reason he's like kind of waffling a little bit like that, I guarantee he's probably never tested Adguard in his life. I doubt he actually has ever reviewed it. You know, actually, let's check. Let's check. Oh, look who popped up. Nope, doesn't look like it. Nope. So yeah, that's kind of why he's like, well, I don't know. I just put it.
So I got the tier list up here. I got 18 services.
Where was I?
System, which if you use, especially on Apple devices, is really nice. I actually do use Adguard for the block list stuff and the ad and tracker protection that it offers within Safari on my iOS device that I use. So
for someone who doesn't know much about VPNs, you really made a pretty long video about them.
If you use iOS, you can actually use Adguard.
Insert TechBore video clip here.
Or if you think I'm going to actually manually test every VPN company on every operating system again, you're out of your freaking mind. And get a ton of benefit there, but I don't use their VPN, so this isn't one I use.
So he has never used it. He doesn't use it, and yet he's rating it.
Get to see the benefit of using Adguard VPN if you're in the Adguard ecosystem, which is
another funny thing I realized after that point is that he rated Adguard VPN higher than TorGuard, despite the fact that he's never actually used it. Cricket.
by putting above, because AirVPN has just been kind of a gold standard classic. They actually did have a server seizure that they just announced recently, which kind of made a few people go, huh? Because why did they wait so long to reveal the server seizure?
Interesting. If you look at Techlore's tooltip, there's also Windscribe, and I don't believe that's a metric of his, if there's a server seizure or not. Doesn't look like it, but if you do go to mine, there is a section for security vulnerability. It is right here, mismanaged data leak or data scares.
But also they responded to it very well. So I don't know.
They responded to it well? They didn't tell people for a while. It's not really responding it well to me.
It's also interesting how they just revealed this casually in their forum. I think there's better ways to announce things like that. But either way, the facts are AirVPN has a very nice open source client that's cross-compatible with every major operating system for desktop. I'm a big fan of AirVPN. They do a lot of things right.
Wait a second.
With every major operating system for AirVPN has a very nice open source client that's cross-compatible with every major operating system for.
Because he just said it's cross-compatible with every operating system. Just to be clear, he specified for desktop, but I mean, almost every single VPN supports PC, Mac, Linux. It's not really impressive, is it? The more impressive thing would be supporting the iPhone, Techlore's main device, it sounds like, right? And yet, if you look up AirVPN, they don't have an iOS app. Not only that, but if you look up it's just like some random AirVPN. And that, my friends, is why you should go back to reviewing custom ROMs on phones, Techlore. Oh, wait. You kind of stopped doing that, didn't you? Because you sort of made the guy who made Graphene OS quit his own project.
Desktop. I'm a big fan of AirVPN. They do a lot of things right. All right, next up is CyberGhost. And I'm just going to I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna start with C, and it might become a D later depending on how things are looking, but not a fan of CyberGhost. It was bought out by one of the mega VPN corporations that are a little bit sus and run by kind of suspicious people. CyberGhost really is lacking some core things that some other providers do get right. CyberGhost, for example, doesn't support 2FA, at least to my knowledge. I personally also just didn't have a good experience with CyberGhost because we used to have an affiliate plan with them, which I wanted removed and deleted. And I've contacted their customer support probably 10, I don't know at 10, but at least several different times. And I reached out to the affiliate manager. I reached out to their general contact page.
Bro, who cares? Just don't log in and don't use it anymore.
I reached out to everything to get that affiliate account shut down, and they refused to respond to me. And I also added them on Twitter. Nothing. So I don't know. Maybe if I keep complaining, someday they'll get my affiliate account deleted. Affiliate account deleted. Okay, the next one is AzireVPN, and
it's not Azure, it's Azure, you fucking idiot.
AzireVPN for me aligns very well with AirVPN. I guess it's fitting. You got the A, the VPNs that start with A and the A tier. But AzireVPN, I don't have too much personal experience with, so this is
again, he probably hasn't actually reviewed it. Techlore, AzireVPN, nothing. Let's see who has reviewed AzireVPN. Oh. Wow. Look at that good looking man.
Based on kind of the data that I've seen on the chart, which essentially is they're based out of Sweden. And they do have some nice things like.
Wait a second. I bet you, if he looks at it, does he have a question mark on it? His charges, the GUI is just fucking awful. Yeah, he does have a question mark. He doesn't know if it connects on boot or not still.
They support Monero, and they have only first-party servers.
Basically, guys, AzireVPN, it's an okay VPN. It's got its own hardware and infrastructure, but the downside is it's very slow, it's very small, there's not many servers, the speeds are slow, it doesn't really work well with streaming compatibility. Overall, it's just kind of like OVPN, one of those small VPNs that really just doesn't really compete that well.
And
it's probably more like, let's check the actual tier list, vpntierlist.com. where Techlore tried to steal my idea. Yeah, it's around C tier, into C tier, just small, not very good, particularly in any way.
And IPVanish is kind of in the same place here as CyberGhost in my book. Again, like these providers will probably be fine if you use CyberGhost, IPVanish, or we're going to talk about Express and all these other providers down the.
I wonder if he's actually going to mention Daniel Garrick or anything like that, or the people that left Express and why people generally don't like Express. He's probably just going to mention that it got bought out, and then that's going to be like the sum of his experience with it.
The road, but you're gonna be fine. They're not gonna kill you. You're not gonna wake up and your entire life just melted before your eyes. But I just think from a digital rights perspective, you can do a lot better than these providers. But these providers will allow you to connect to a VPN server somewhere else, and it's still gonna provide you some benefit, most likely. And yeah, I will say that, but not a big fan of IPVanish, especially after the whole like they kept logs on a user thing, which was handled very weirdly. And
that was also a separate company.
Again, if there's anything I get wrong with a particular service, please let me know. And also,
I'll let you know, buddy.
If I got something wrong, it probably means our data on our chart is wrong, which is, again, all open source.
And the fact that he never really updates it, and also saying your chart is open source, doesn't really mean that much, as much as you think it does. Make an application, and then if it's open source, you'll have something to brag about. But just collecting data and not really updating it and just having like a spreadsheet and showing people that it's not really that impressive. You can't really brag that it's open source, really.
And so you can either directly contribute to that and get something fixed, or you can leave a comment and I'll try to correct.
Basically, he wants you to do the work for him. Techlore really likes Riseup. I don't know why. It's one of the free VPN options out there. And I don't think he's ever actually tested it. It doesn't really actually work on Windows. As you can see, here is the VPN itself. YouTuber Techlore just made a video promoting this one and a couple of others. So I was like, oh, you know, maybe he's right. Maybe this is a good VPN. So I connected, and I'm connected, and I can't even load a website. So there you go. Look at how, it doesn't really have any setting barely at all. You connect, and nothing seems to work. So I guess what you get, what you pay for in this circumstance, nothing working. I tried the app. The application's horrible. I couldn't even connect. Let's see if he mentions that.
Is a very interesting one, and this is going to be a little bit of a hot take, but I'm going to put this in A tier. So a lot of
this guy's an expert, a real expert.
People might have not heard RiseUp and that's for a very good reason, to be honest, which is it's an entirely free VPN provider.
And it doesn't work on Windows.
But it's all open source, and it runs on a project called Leap. And Leap is a way to essentially ensure that the server code is matching what it's supposed to be. It's a way to add transparency to the whole VPN world, which is really nice.
Am I the only one that finds his voice a little grating?
I will say, though, the reason why it's a hot take is it will be probably very slow. It's only free. There is no paid experience.
It also doesn't work.
And so your only option is a slow, free VPN experience. But I do trust them a lot, and it's a great organization, and they're one of the best digital rights organizations that I've seen. And
this will be interesting because Techlore was the very first Nord shill on YouTube. He shilled NordVPN like crazy back in the day. He would review it like 4 times a day. No, I mean 4 times a year. Like every couple of months, he'd be like, here's my new update. Still my top VPN.
We're going to start a NordVPN category where we just talk, we're going to start a NordVPN category where we just talk about NordVPN every week, and they'll pay us.
And how awesome it is.
Yeah. So let's talk about NordVPN.
So the first thing I want to point out is that I've been using NordVPN as my main VPN provider for the last 2 months. I actually purchased a 2-year plan because it's my personal favorite VPN. 4.65, we're gonna round it up to 4.7. We got 4.65, which was the highest service on the channel, rounding up to 4.7. It is good to know that Nord is still just as good as an option as it was 6 months ago.
I'm gonna subscribe for 10 years. He loved this thing. He farmed it out before anyone else was. He really led the NordVPN farming, and nowadays there's probably like 20 of those people on YouTube today, the modern Techlore, in my opinion.
They do a lot of great work, so go.
But the ironic part is that while he gave NordVPN a lot of credit back then when it wasn't that good, he doesn't give them any credit now, when in fact they are kind of good in some aspects, but I don't think he's going to give them credit.
well. Here we go. We're gonna have the big boy now, NordVPN. Okay. I'm going to put Nord in C along with the other like conglomerates, to be honest. I feel like they're all kind of the same though. Like none of them, Nord has had several scandals now, which I don't think like...
By the way, Nord's very first scandal, Techlore actually...
So the post from the PIA rep throws Nord into the mix, saying they're also operated by Tesonet. Therefore, both NordVPN and Tesonet are operated under the same company. I want to mention, his source saying Nord is owned by Tesonet has nothing related to Tesonet on the webpage. I looked through everything. I can't tell you how much I looked through this. The only thing is Tefencom.
He's pretty much telling everyone that Nord isn't owned by Tesonet. Pretty much that was like the gist of his video, and that there's no issues with the company transparency. Turned out that was all false. They are owned by Tesonet, and they did kind of improve that transparency of their company holdings. It was completely wrong on that one.
In the long run, necessarily make it completely untrustworthy. It's just...
I wonder if he's going to mention how much he shielded before.
I don't know why you'd go with Nord when you have options that haven't had those scandals at this point. And we used to be a big Nord channel before.
There we go.
Like more and more scandals started coming out. And because...
To be honest, there was a fair amount of scandals back then too. He just didn't really know anything about VPNs. Still doesn't.
Do on the surface get a lot of things right. Have a warrant canary, they don't keep logs, they have even...
So then why would he rate it the same as these ones that don't have those things? It doesn't make any sense. He's just pandering to his audience. He knows that it's kind of cool to hate Nord now because it had all these scandals, which he didn't really make videos on. But he's just kind of lumping it with these other ones because he wants to seem cool and only recommend Molvad, like a big boy.
Even some diskless servers. And they just overall, they have 2FA, they have audits, and they overall like actually do some quality things that are somewhat impressive. And on top of that, they're one of the biggest companies, and so they have a lot of good infrastructure similar to people like CyberGhost and ExpressVPN. They're going to have a lot of servers all around the world, so you're never going to run out of like VPN service to access. But like you can do better, like you deserve better. And I feel that despite
fucking Adguard, are you kidding me, bro? RiseUp is better than Nord?
Nord getting a lot of things right. I just feel like from a digital rights perspective, there are so many better options than Nord from...
No, it's because he doesn't want his audience to flame him, and he thinks it makes him cool.
A protection perspective, if I were to say. Okay, ProtonVPN. I am so conflicted about Proton between S and A tier. From a digital rights perspective, it's S tier. From a usability perspective, it's like between S and A. So I think if I'm between S and A for just one of them, I do think as of right now, I'm putting it in S tier. So it's all...
The interesting will be seeing why he doesn't rate TorGuard and some of these other ones with the same category as Proton, despite the fact it does a lot of the same things right.
Open source, very audited from a very trustworthy company.
Keep in mind that his tier list rankings, his data doesn't include any mention of price or anything like that. Proton is one of the most expensive options out there. $100 a year, $200 plus after 2 years. It gets pretty pricey. And iVPN, yeah, you might as well be Bill Gates.
And they do a lot of things right from the protection perspective. A tier kind of status here. Just because
it's really the same category as fucking AirVPN and Riseup. Is this guy drunk?
Because I feel like it's very neglected. Proton juggles a lot of projects, and I feel like ProtonVPN is not one of the ones that gets a lot of attention. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like the usability could be better of ProtonVPN, and so I'm going to put it in the A tier, but I think...
So just like random... unverifiable data that he feels. It's just the application's not exactly how he likes it. It's not as good on Linux or something like that.
The quality of the protection you're getting with Proton is awesome, and the real selling point of Proton...
What are the features that it's missing?
VPN is if anybody here is using Proton Mail or they're already in the Proton ecosystem, you might already be paying for Proton VPN. I'll actually leave a Proton VPN affiliate link in a description. We have one. I'll leave a standard one too, because we have a transparency thing where if we use an affiliate link, we also include a standard link.
That doesn't make you any more transparent. People could just go to protonvpn.com. It's just like virtue signaling.
So I'll leave both of those. If you are interested in Proton, I do use Proton for certain things, and that is a pretty good service. But again, I'm mixed on it. So, all right. And now I think this is like hands down an S tier for me.
He's not going to mention the price.
iVPN, it's probably...
He's not going to mention how expensive it is. It's probably like 2 or 3 times as expensive as any other VPN. Doesn't work with any streaming services. It's missing some fundamental things. iVPN, extremely expensive. Doesn't really come in with any bundled incentives. It doesn't have port forwarding now. I doubt he's going to mention that. It doesn't have browser extensions. Doesn't have an application for the Fire Stick. It barely supports any countries. Doesn't support it 50 plus countries, which is kind of like a standard. It doesn't even have live chat on the website, and doesn't support any stream compatibility at all. Is he going to mention any of that? I don't think so.
As of right now, my favorite VPN provider, I still use.
The reason he only likes it is because it just randomly works good with like is ad blocking or something?
Them on mobile. I'm actually in love with the iVPN mobile clients. They have interactive widgets on iOS. It's just super.
You know you need to get laid when you're in love with a VPN client. Bro, VPN clients are just tools. They're not that great. It's just you just click connect and then you get off it as quick as possible. You shouldn't be in love with a VPN client.
Clean, super polished. They have really nice features on both iOS and Android. And I love the desktop experience. They're a very fast provider, and they have like some of the safest precautions out of any of the VPNs out there. They support 2FA. They've been audited.
They don't have port forwarding.
Everything's open source. They post just freaking amazing blog posts.
He likes making videos on these. Basically, all these blog posts that iVPN posts are just virtue signaling about how they don't do any marketing and how they're pretty much driving their company into ground and not making any money.
Where they
nobody uses iVPN barely at all.
Straight up say like what we can't do for you and why you shouldn't trust a VPN to do X.
Basically, they pretty much like use Techlore as some kind of like consultant, and Techlore was like, you should make these blog posts, and that's how they made them. That's basically how I see it.
XYZ. So they're very transparent about what a VPN can and can't do, which by the way, I'll talk a little bit more about at the end of the video when it comes to like what you should look for in a VPN, and we'll try to kind of compile some of the lessons from this video. But I really love iVPN. I love how transparent they are, and they just do such a great job with so many different things. So yeah, big props to iVPN. I'm a huge fan. PIA is also kind of a hot take for me because I feel like a lot of people like PIA because on the surface, they actually do a lot of things right, but I just don't really trust the company personally. And that's not something that's reflected on like our tools or anything like that.
I mean, it can be reflected. It should be reflected. A company's like reputation and why it is that way is an important thing to put in a data point. He just hasn't really figured out how to do that. For example, in my chart on the VPN tier list, I take account of transparent leadership. If there's been a court-proven no logs case, if the company's been acquired or not, if they're able to pass tracker tests and things like that on the website. Techlore hasn't really figured out any of those metrics because he's too busy. I don't know. What does he actually do again?
But I think I might put PIA in B tier. I don't know.
Oh my God, that's such a hot take, Techlore.
I'll keep it in C tier for now, and I'll decide as we go. All right, now we're going to move to Surfshark. And honestly, even before I started this, when I was downloading the logos for this tier list, I already said, well, wherever I put Nord, I'll just put Surfshark. Because
that's probably only his only take in this video that's actually accurate. They are pretty much the same.
It's interesting. I got a lot of comments about what I think about TorGuard.
His main complaints with TorGuard is that he doesn't like how it has Tor from the Tor network, despite the fact that it means Torrent Guard, not the Onion router. Now, you might be wondering, what am I talking about? Well, no mistake. In Techlore's last TorGuard review 4 years ago, he told people that it's false advertising that TorGuard has named itself TorGuard, despite the fact they actually own that trademark from US law. He said, don't get me started on their anonymous VPN login. This guy says, false advertising? It is legit Tor for torrenting and guard as in guarding your torrents, TorGuard. Thanks for correcting me, but many people new to the service didn't know that. And this is why to this day, I'm pretty sure he still calls TorGuard misleading in advertising. He really is an idiot, isn't he? He also doesn't like that. Look at my little ad right there. It probably says online privacy protection. He's gonna be like, I don't think they can actually protect you. You know, if you're downloading something illegal and the FBI comes in your house, they're still gonna find it.
I'm not a huge fan of TorGuard.
He just doesn't like it because I like it.
I'm gonna probably put it with the rest of them. I feel like TorGuard,
and there's not really any good reason for that, by the way.
It's based in the US, which has some jurisdiction concerns, as does.
It doesn't really. They've been to court. They proved they're not going to give up logs on any users, and they didn't give up any information on any users. So it's one of the only two of court-proven VPNs, OVPN, and now TorGuard.
Riseup, but again, where TorGuard doesn't really excel is I don't believe they have open source clients. They don't have a transparency report. They don't have a warrant canary. They kind of get into weird legal fights, which no one seems to understand. I don't really.
People understand them. It's just you don't really ever talk about them.
Understand how you sue the wrong company, but they did that. And they also copied a competing service extension, which was kind of crappy, but like, I don't know. With all that said,
That happened like 10 years ago, by the way. I talked to TorGuard and they didn't even really bother ever responding to that company because they said it was total bullshit.
I've heard a lot of people say good things about the features provided by TorGuard. I don't think it's anything that's exclusive to that, and I think a lot of these other providers here are going to have similar features.
He's not going to mention the fact that there's no trackers on the website. There's no trackers on Android. It doesn't track you at all. It's a third of the price of iVPN, even more long-term. It's the fastest VPN, always has been in my tests. It was probably one of the first VPNs alongside Mulvad to implement WireGuard. It was the first VPN to have a Bitcoin Lightning transaction, the first company to do so. It supports Monero. The company itself has never had any data leaks or data scares or any server seizures like Windscribe, as well as, what was that other one he was talking about? AirVPN. It's pretty good. S tier, right alongside Proton.
So, all right, Mulvad VPN, definitely another S tier VPN. I actually use Mulvad on death.
Basically, if you haven't figured it out now, this tier list is just like you said in the beginning. Personally, the VPNs he likes for his specific use case. But it's kind of funny because why would you make a video just telling people your thoughts and opinions if like you weren't intending to help them find their own personal specific VPNs to use? He even admits that he knows people like TorGuard and he's still giving it like one of the worst VPNs on this list, the worst rating so far on this list.
Desktop. And then I'm Windscribe.
He's never reviewed those either, by the way.
I'm gonna put Windscribe as A tier. You know, now that I'm looking at this, I think, okay. All right, let me quickly give you the breakdown on Windscribe. Windscribe.
He's starting to realize that his inconsistencies in logic is now making the tier list not exactly how he personally want it.
I am a fan of. I do think that there are a lot of things I enjoy about Windscribe. It's hard for me to recommend it over iVPN, Mulvad, and ProtonVPN, but I do appreciate Windscribe's honesty. They had a server incident where there was an exploit on one of their servers, which people might have remembered when that happened, and they were very transparent about patching that issue, and I actually loved their transparency and how they did.
He loves the transparency of them having a server seized. Good job. They also didn't encrypt the server right, by the way.
I also just love the feature set of Windscribe. They have a lot of neat features, and they really try to push on the feature side of things, I feel.
What features? Is he going to elaborate on the features? He didn't do it with Proton. The features that are missing. What features does Windscribe have that the other ones don't?
And they also have a pretty generous free plan as well. And just for transparency, so iVPN, Mulvad do not have any affiliate links whatsoever. Windscribe got rid of their affiliate program. Proton does have one, which we have, and I'll leave a link to that in the description.
Well, scrolling through, it doesn't really look like he's changed much. Anyways, guys, those are my final thoughts and opinion. That was a long one. Techlore clearly doesn't know anything about VPNs. He just rates things personally how he feels about them at any moment in time. If I was Techlore and you're watching this, stick to running, buddy. Also, if you want to debate me, let me know. I'll debate VPNs with you any time of the week. Or are you too scared?